Whenever we talk about GBS, we always talk about the survivors, the person affected by it directly, or the patient. We often forget to talk about the families. The disease, like GBS and other autoimmune disorders, as well as many other terminal illnesses as well, ignore the warriors on the front line. And by that, I don't just mean the person suffering from that particular illness or disease, but the people around them. From my own experience, I realized that it was much easier for me at the end of the day to deal with something like this because, for the first part, of course, there was the horror of finding yourself completely immobile, of not knowing why or what had happened to you. But what was worse was worrying about my family, knowing that they were out there running around, trying to get me the best care, trying to get me home from Vietnam to India, trying to get the money required for expensive treatments, trying to keep their sanity and their families together while they took care of me. The physical and mental exhaustion that I felt was perhaps nowhere near compared to what they were going through. Because, well, I was medicated for most of it, doped up, if you will, in and out of consciousness, a lot of my pain taken care of by the excellent medical treatment that I got thanks to them and thanks to everyone who took care of me. It's the families that rally around us at times like this. They are the ones who bear the burden of the memories that we are too out of it to remember. They are the ones who are counting the seconds and the minutes. They are the ones who are worrying about that phone call that might signal a deterioration in our condition. They are the ones staying awake in hospitals, outside critical care wards, in general waiting rooms, sleeping on recliners. They are the ones who are timing themselves throughout the day to make sure that they're there for us at the time it is allowed for them to visit. They're the ones putting on a brave face and a smile and walking into that ward. No matter how horrific you look, they don't let you feel that way. And here I am talking specifically about my family. Not one person made me feel that, oh my God, you're so sick. Oh my God, are you going to make it? Oh my God, I'm horrified that you might not make it. Though I know all of these thoughts were going through their minds. It was enough for me to find myself in a position like this from a life that was full and busy and hectic and generally wonderful. I had a wide circle of friends whose company I enjoyed and work that I mostly enjoyed, especially the part about being out of office, meeting different people, helping clients solve tricky problems sometimes, as well as dealing with the government, which also required me to be out of the office most of the time in meetings and often traveling to different states and their capitals. I had an active life. I would work out when I felt like, which wasn't very often, but at least I was active. I was out and about. I used to love driving. I still do. And I do a little bit of it again now. I would love driving on the highway. Just pick up the car and go meet my parents who live about 200 miles away. Early in the morning, just leave. The highways, music, one other person for company who never allowed to drive alone. I remember just enjoying everything that I did. Every morning at 6:30 when I would wake up, after my tea, and when I'd be getting ready or reading the papers or reading something that had been left over from the day before, I remember putting on music, tapping my feet to it, shaking my head, sometimes just getting up and starting to dance. They were just happy, active mornings. Imagine when all of that is taken away from you in a split second. That's what happened to me in a country where we didn't speak the language, and in a place far away from home where we didn't even understand the cultural nuances of dealing with staff at a hospital. Doctors are different in India. Doctor-patient relationship is different in India. You always land up knowing people. You have friends who would help you, doctor friends who would sometimes intervene to understand. I knew a lot of doctors at Max Hospital at that time, people under whose care had already been treated for various other things in the past. And I miss that. And I remember telling my sister that I didn't want to die in a foreign country. I wanted to die on home soil. Now, it was easy for me to say in my delirium or in the state that I was in, heavily medicated, as I said. But for that to translate to my family, the repercussions were huge. And I think that is what happens. Even that little bit of discomfort that they see on your faces, the pain, or if you sigh, or if you wince, it gets translated and magnified in a way that we can't even imagine when we are lying on that bed. And I think that is why it's really important to shore up not just the survivors of any illness, but also families. And that's what I'm here trying to do, to say that things get better. What I love about some of the support groups on Facebook, which I join, which I visit often, not every day, but whenever I find something that either resonates with my condition or what I went through or the specific fallouts of the disease as they applied to me, or if I see something or a post or something in which I can help or I can answer a question that someone is asking, those are the times that I do engage. But sometimes it's just good to read messages. And as I said, what I love about that is it's not just the survivors in those groups, it's family members, people who are trying to deal with a condition like Guillain-Barre syndrome, in which an entire family's life is turned upside down. Apart from the uncertainty that I talked about earlier, there's the expenditure. There is the not knowing what causes a disease like this. There is the not knowing what the end result of something like this is, how long it's going to last, how long it'll take for someone to get back to, say, even 80% or 60% or 50% capacity, let alone 100%. Not knowing how to support the survivor sometimes. Imagine we get a cold or a cough or we're unwell, and how crabby we all get. Now imagine if someone has lost their entire life and the way they lived it in a split second, and they're lying helpless in a bed. No matter how hard you try to be cheerful, no matter how hard you try to tell yourself that it's going to be okay, that you have the best care, the frustration builds, the anger builds. Many years ago, I'd stopped asking the question, why me? I think that was one of the things that helped me get through a really tough time. The time that I was laid up and the time that I was in rehab and trying to get my life back. Why not me is something that I've come to accept long ago. Things happen to people around the world. What makes me special? And the answer that I've come up with is the way that I handle what happens to me. That was one thing that helped me get through. But the one question that I struggled with, and I struggle with even today, is why? And I think that is why there is more need for awareness about GBS, so that people understand that this is something that has still not been cracked, so to speak. We still don't know causes, we still don't know cures. We only know ways in which to slow down symptoms. And if you get lucky, you get an early diagnosis. But if you're not lucky, sometimes it is misdiagnosed so often that your condition could deteriorate a lot before you get help. Which is why I want to spend a little time talking about the disease, talking about how we deal with it, how families get wrapped up, how families get sucked into the vortex of GBS, and how it's really important to understand what the illness is all about so that you can help people recognize early symptoms. There was a time when it was 1 in a million that they would say that 1 or 2 people in a million would get GBS. Now it's 1 or 2 in 100,000. The disease is becoming more common as more and more people start recognizing that this is GBS and not something else. It can be mistaken for various other autoimmune diseases as well as existing or new neurological conditions. In any case, it is what it is. It happens. You pick your life back up and you start moving forward, one faulty step at a time, till you actually learn to walk straighter without help, till you learn to drive, till you learn to go for a walk or take stairs on your own without having to hold on to a banister. It's an amazing feeling, and it feels well earned because it's something that you have to work really hard at. Whoever you are, wherever you are, if you're listening to this, and if you or a family member suffers from Guillain-Barre syndrome, know that there is hope, there is help, there is a community out there that you can reach out to and ask for help. Above all, please remember to be kind to your family around you, to people who take care of you. And to the families, I'd say, understand that this is not something that's easy to deal with, because a lot of what goes on is not visible. I wish you luck. I wish you good health. I wish you a fast recovery. And I wish you a lot of love. I hope that surrounds you, and I hope that helps you get through. God bless, and stay tuned in as I will share a few exercises, a few ways to actually get your limbs moving again in the next episode. Godspeed and stay safe.